Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world, and welcome back to Sip and Talk.
It's good to be back.
So today's topic is once again inspired by our loyal listener and friend, Mickey. And we're going to be talking about something that sounds a bit like an internet urban legend, but it's actually something that bothers a lot of people.
The glasses conspiracy.
The glasses conspiracy. I mean, you've heard this, right? The idea that glasses are basically a tool for the vision industry to, I don't know, harvest customers for life.
Oh, yeah. The claim is that once you put them on, you can never go back, and your prescription just gets stronger and stronger.
Exactly. So is this like a physiological thing we can't avoid, or is it just a giant commercial trap?
Great question.
Well, I have to tell you, I was scrolling on Threads the other day, and I saw this wild take. Someone called eyeglasses sight drugs.
Sight drugs.
Yeah. Their logic was, once you wear them, your eyes just get lazy. And then the companies can sell you thicker and thicker lenses for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of makes sense when you first hear it, right? It's just like wearing a knee brace all the time.
Yeah.
Eventually, you don't even want to walk without it.
Right. And that right there is a perfect example of what's called causation reversal. It's a classic cognitive trap.
Okay, causation reversal. Break that down for me.
It's basically blaming the solution for the problem. People think wearing glasses makes their prescription worse, but the reality is they start wearing glasses because their eyesight is already in a phase of getting worse.
So it's not the glasses causing it.
No. It's like, let's say you start gaining some weight, so you buy bigger pants. Are you going to blame the bigger pants for making you gain weight?
Ouch. Okay, that analogy hits a little too close to home, but I get it.
It's just a response to what's already happening.
But then what about all those people who experiment? You know, the ones who swear that their vision actually got better when they stopped wearing glasses.
Ah, yes. That's something called blur adaptation, and it's really fascinating.
Blur adaptation?
Yeah. Your brain just gets smarter. It learns how to interpret fuzzy images more effectively. But the physical problem, the actual length of your eye axis, hasn't shrunk at all.
So your hardware is the same,
Yeah.
but your software got an update.
That's a perfect way to put it. So today, we're going to unpack all of this. We're going to look at the science, the social controversy, and then connect it all to how we navigate this whole post-truth era we're living in.
All right, let's dive in. So the core of this whole thing, the critique, is that if glasses are just an aid, then maybe we've over-medicalized vision problem.
All right, driven by these huge companies leading us into the state of aid dependence.
And we really have to look at where that mistrust comes from because, I mean, it's not totally out of nowhere.
Not at all. People are suspicious of the science, sure, but they're even more suspicious of the business behind it all.
Okay, so let's break down the main arguments that are really fueling this whole conspiracy engine. What's the first one?
The first pillar is what you could call the adjustment degradation theory, and it leans entirely on that knee brace analogy you mentioned.
Okay.
The argument is that the ciliary muscle in your eye, it's this tiny little muscle that helps you focus, basically atrophies. It gets weak from lack of use.
Can you explain a little more about what that muscle actually does?
Sure. So when you look at something far away, that muscle relaxes. But when you look at something up close, like your phone,
Which is all the time.
the ciliary muscle has to contract to make the lens in your eye curve more to focus that light. The theory is that when you wear glasses, the lens is doing that work for the muscle.
So the muscle just stops trying. It gets structurally lazy.
That's the theory. But, and this is a big but, that's where the science kind of falls apart. The main issue with nearsightedness, with myopia, isn't muscle strength. It's the eyeball itself literally getting longer.
So it's a structural thing, not a muscular.
Yeah, exactly. The muscle can get tired, for sure, but there's no real evidence that wearing a corrective lens causes it to waste away like a muscle in a cast. The eye is just, it's way more complex than that.
Okay, so that's the physiological argument. What's the next one? This is the one that really adds the conspiracy flavor.
This is the big one. The commercial monopoly suspicion.
Right.
And this is probably the most powerful argument because, I mean, just look at the industry. It's shockingly consolidated. We're talking about one giant company, EssilorLuxottica.
Most people have probably never even heard that name, but they own everything.
Everything. You need to understand the scale here. This one company owns retail stores like LensCrafters, Sunglass Hut.
Pearl Vision?
They own the big frame brands, Ray-Ban, Oakley, Chanel, Prada. And they also own Essilor, the labs that actually make the lenses.
Wow. So they control the stores, the brands, the manufacturing, pretty much the entire pipeline.
Correct. So when you have that level of control, high prices, and a situation where, half the world is going to need your product soon, you get huge profits.
Yeah.
And huge profits always breed distrust.
People see that money and think, okay, this system has to be rigged to keep me coming back.
It's an almost inevitable conclusion for a lot of people.
Okay, and what's the third argument? This one seems to be more about the relationship with your actual optometrist.
Right. This is the idea of overcorrection.
Overcorrection.
The suspicion is that an eye doctor might prescribe lenses that are just a little bit too strong, maybe a quarter diopter more than you need.
Why would they do that?
To give you that wow moment, that feeling of super sharp, high-definition clarity. Wow, I can see every single leaf on that tree. The idea is that this makes the patient happier in the short term.
But the theory is that this slightly too strong prescription actually makes your eyes strain more to compensate, which speeds up the problem.
Precisely. It's a subtle fear, but it suggests that even the practitioners are part of this system, incentivized to give you a temporary thrill that might be harmful in the long run.
Okay, so those are the arguments. Now, let's get to the reality check. What does the actual science say?
Well, this is where we have to look at the data from top-tier journals. And the science really dismantles the whole premise.
So let's get into it. What is the real fundamental cause of myopia?
The number one scientifically confirmed driver is not muscle weakness. It's the physical eye-axis elongation.
Okay.
Think of your eye like a really well-designed camera. For the picture to be sharp, the light has to focus perfectly on the sensor, which is your retina.
Makes sense.
If the camera body, the eyeball itself, grows too long, the light focuses in front of the retina and the world looks blurry. This physical lengthening is what medicine considers, for now, an irreversible change.
So you can't just shrink your eyeball back to its original size.
You can't. And that's the key. The glasses aren't causing your eye to get longer. Your eye is already getting longer, and the glasses are just trying to refocus the light to compensate for that.
So the conspiracy theory has it completely backward.
Completely. And what's more, the data shows that doing what the conspiracy theorists suggest, like ditching your glasses or deliberately wearing a weaker prescription, is actually dangerous.
Dangerous? How?
There's a lot of clinical evidence on this, including some big studies on school kids in Malaysia. They found that when children were intentionally undercorrected,
Meaning they were given glasses that were too weak.
exactly, or told not to wear them much,
What?
the constant blurred image they saw actually stimulated the eye to grow longer, faster.
Wait, what? That's so counterintuitive.
It is, but the brain gets this blurry signal and the body's response is basically, alert, we're out of focus, we need to grow longer to catch the focal point.
You're trying to force your eyes to work harder. Actually triggers the very physical change that's causing the problem in the first place.
It's a tragic biological feedback loop. Wearing properly prescribed glasses actually removes that blurry growth signal.
Okay, so just to sum up the debate then. On one side, you have the skeptic view, which sees glasses as a crutch. They point to their prescription getting worse every year as proof that the lenses don't work.
Right. While the mainstream medical view is pretty clear, glasses are just optical tools. The real culprits are lifestyle factors.
What specifically?
Primarily, way too much close-up work staring at screens and books, and, this is the big one, a critical lack of outdoor activity. The lens isn't the problem. Our habits are.
Which brings us back to that psychological layer, that amazing feeling and clarity you get when you put on a new pair of glasses.
The psychological effect is huge. For someone with myopia, taking off their glasses and having the world instantly plunge into a blur is a really jarring experience. And they misinterpret that feeling. They think, wow, my eyes got worse the second I took my glasses off. But really, their brain is just going back to its baseline, dealing with the uncorrected, fuzzy input. They mistake the loss of the aid for a worsening of the disease.
Okay, let's zoom out then and look at the bigger picture, because it seems like global trends and lifestyle changes are the real villains here.
Oh, absolutely. The scale of this is just massive. There's data projecting that by 2050, nearly half of the entire global population will be nearsighted.
Half the planet. That's not a small problem. That's a full-blown public health crisis.
And it's tied directly to our modern indoor lives.
And the science on this points to two major lifestyle factors, right? The first one is the sunlight connection.
Yes. This is probably the most under-discussed factor.
Yeah.
Sunlight, especially the blue light in it, hits your retina and stimulates the release of dopamine.
Okay.
And dopamine acts as a natural brake. It helps suppress the signals that tell the eye axis to keep growing longer. When kids spend all day inside, they're essentially robbing their eyes of this free, natural medicine.
The cheapest cure in the world, and we've basically engineered it out of our lives.
Exactly. And the second factor is backed up by a ton of data from East Asia. You see this undeniable link between cultures with intense academic pressure.
So kids studying indoors for crazy long hours.
And just astronomical rates of myopia. In some places, it's pushing 90% of teenagers.
That's incredible. And it really shows that lifestyle, not the number of people wearing glasses, is the variable that matters.
So really, the glasses conspiracy is, at its core, a redirection of blame. It's so much easier to believe that some powerful, evil corporation is making you sick with their toxic product
Than to accept the simple but really inconvenient truth.
which is that we need to fundamentally change our behavior. We'd rather believe the lens is a villain than be told to put down our phones and go spend 2 hours at the park every day.
The conspiracy gives us an enemy to fight, so we don't have to fight ourselves.
It relieves us of the burden of personal responsibility.
That's a perfect transition, because now we're moving from this specific distrust into the much broader issue of pseudo-knowledge and why it spread so fast.
And this is where Mickey's dilemma with his mom and dad is such a perfect case study.
Right. He was telling me how frustrated he gets. His mother's constantly sharing these, totally shocking videos.
Yeah.
The classic clickbait stuff.
Like what?
These 3 common foods will kill you if you eat them together. Or, my personal favorite, putting an onion in your sock to detox your body overnight.
Onion in the sock. A classic.
And he'll send her these detailed factual articles debunking it, and she just brushes it off. She doesn't believe it.
So we have to analyze this. Why do these pseudo-experts seem so much more persuasive than actual science?
I think it's their confidence. They sound so absolutely sure of themselves, like they've been given a secret truth that the establishment is trying to hide.
That is the key difference right there. Confidence versus caution. Real science requires nuance. A good researcher will always say things like, according to the data, or this may suggest. But the pseudo-experts, they use absolutes. This is 100% true. They don't want you to know this.
And our brains are just wired to crave that kind of certainty, especially when the world feels confusing.
Absolutely. When you're faced with something complex, like your health, the brain prefers the feeling of certain safety, even if that safety is totally an illusion. The feeling that you have the secret answer is incredibly powerful.
So let's dig into the cognitive traps that let these lies travel so much faster than the truth.
Okay, first up, you have to talk about the Dunning-Kruger effect.
Right, the idea that people who know the least are often the most confident.
Exactly. They don't know enough to even realize how much they don't know. And that overconfidence is easily mistaken for real authority by an audience that's also looking for simple answers. Confidence is contagious.
And the loudest, simplest voice wins.
Then you have the second trap, which is the fluency heuristic. You can think of it as the easy button trap.
The easy button.
Complex problems like vision loss get boiled down to one simple, easy action. Stop wearing glasses. Put an onion in your sock. It satisfies the brain's deep-seated need to save effort. Why read a complicated scientific study when a 30-second video can fix it for you?
Our brains are fundamentally lazy, and social media is built to exploit that laziness.
And the third piece is the illusory truth effect. There's a lot of research on this. It shows that any message, no matter how false it is, starts to feel more true the more you hear it.
So if Mickey's mother sees that onion video from 3 different friends in 1 week,
it stops being a weird random idea and starts feeling like a widely accepted fact. Repetition creates familiarity, and our brains mistake familiarity for truth.
that is deeply unsettling, especially when you think about how social media algorithms work.
And that's the next layer, the traffic dynamics. A big MIT study a few years back found that fake news travels 6 times faster than real news.
6 times. Why? Is it just that lies are more exciting?
That's part of it, but the algorithm is the real engine here. The algorithm doesn't care about truth. It only cares about engagement.
Clicks, shares, comments.
Exactly. And the strongest emotions, especially fear and anger, are the best fuel for engagement. A calm, nuanced article about clinical data gets no traction. A video screaming that your dinner is secretly killing you, that gets shared.
So Mickey's mom isn't just sharing a fact. She's sharing an emotional warning, an act of care. And the algorithm rewards that.
Precisely. The pseudo-expert gives you certainty and an emotional release, and in an environment where knowledge is entertainment, truth is the first casualty.
This all leads us directly into the idea of the post-truth era. It's not just about lies spreading. It's about a fundamental shift in how we decide what's true.
Mickey's mom is the perfect example. She trusts the sincere-sounding guy on her phone more than her own son's data because that guy speaks to her feelings and her anxieties.
Okay, so let's define this term. Post-truth was the word of the year back in 2016. What does it really mean in 2025?
Well, post-truth isn't about there being no facts. It's about the devaluation of facts.
Right.
People now judge information based on whether it aligns with their gut feeling, their identity, their emotions, not on whether it's subjectively true. The key idea is truthiness. Does it feel right? That feeling is now more important than reality.
Which leads to a huge crisis of authority.
A total collapse.
Yeah.
Traditional sources, science, government, major news outlets are now seen by many as the establishment lie. But information shared inside your own social circle, your family chat group, that's seen as the real truth.
It's like a digital version of tribalism. Trust is based on who's in your tribe, not on evidence.
That's a great way to put it. And we need to talk specifically about why older people, like Mickey's parents, can be especially vulnerable.
I think the common assumption is that they're just not as tech-savvy.
It's so much more complicated than that. There's actually a physiological part of it. As we age, the brain's prefrontal cortex, which is your BS filter.
The part that judges risk and discerns truth.
Right. It naturally shrinks a little. This can make older adults more susceptible to a good first impression, a calm tone of voice, a professional-looking background in a video.
So their internal fact-checker is just a little slower.
A little slower, yeah.
Yeah.
But just as important are the social and emotional needs. For a lot of seniors, sharing information is a form of social currency.
How so?
It's a way to show you care, to feel relevant, to feel needed. This gets amplified if they're feeling lonely or isolated. When Mickey's mom shares that onion cure, she's not making a scientific claim. She's saying, I care about you and I'm looking out for you.
That totally reframed the entire argument. It's not about facts versus fiction. It's about her trying to connect and fight off feelings of being forgotten.
And this is getting even worse with the rise of AI deception. These fake doctor videos are getting scarily realistic. They can be tailored to exploit the specific anxieties of older people, like fears about the cost or side effects of real medicine.
The technology is literally designed to prey on them.
It is. Which means the conflict here isn't science versus ignorance. Mickey's mom isn't fighting science. She's fighting the fear of being left behind by a complex world.
And the more he pushes back with facts, the more he's isolating her.
He's accidentally triggering something called the sleeper effect. Research shows that older people are more prone to this. They forget the source of the information, like that it came from a sketchy video. But they vividly remember the emotional punch of the message itself, the fear, the hope, the simple solution.
It's chilling. The message becomes a fact in their mind, but the untrustworthy source just fades away.
Exactly. The content gets divorced from its context. So my advice for Mickey and for anyone in this situation is to switch your strategy completely. Go from logic to connection.
Stop trying to win the argument with data.
Stop slapping them down with facts. It just makes them defensive. You have to build an alliance.
So what does that look like in practice?
Instead of saying, Mom, that video is fake, you say something like, Mom, I know you sent this because you care about me and I really appreciate that. But I've been reading about how realistic these AI scams are getting, and I'm worried this video might be trying to trick you or sell you something dangerous. Can we look up this doctor together and see if he's real?
Wow. Okay. So you're not attacking her belief. You're turning it into a team effort against a common enemy. Fraud.
You're turning a confrontation into a partnership. The truth can be cold, but the way we communicate it has to be warm.
This is the part of the conversation where we need to zoom out even further. Because everything we've talked about, the conspiracies, the fake cures, this whole crisis of shared reality, was basically predicted over 100 years ago.
By the German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche.
Right. We're going from eye anatomy to 19th century German philosophy.
Right.
We have to connect the dots here on his most famous and maybe most misunderstood statement. There are no facts, only interpretations.
A statement that could not be more relevant to our digital world in 2025.
I have to ask, though, isn't that statement basically the motto for every disinformation agent out there? If it's all just interpretation, then my onion in a sock theory is just as valid as your clinical trial data.
That's the common and I think overly simple misreading of what he meant. Nietzsche wasn't giving people a license to lie. He was pointing out a fundamental limit of human perception.
Okay.
He argued that we as humans can never see the total objective picture of reality, what he might call the God's eye view. Every single truth we hold is filtered through our own unique perspective, our desires, our biases.
So he was predicting a time when people would realize that the so-called objective truth from big institutions was really just one powerful interpretation among many.
He was predicting the collapse of authority.
Yeah.
He saw that once the big single sources of truth like the church or the government started to crumble, everyone would rush in to claim the right to interpret.
And the algorithm just throws gasoline on that fire.
It ruthlessly exploits it. This brings us to his core idea of perspectivism.
Perspective.
It just means that what you know is always limited by where you're standing and what you need. Think about two people looking at a skyscraper. One is an architect looking at the blueprints, seeing structural loads. The other is a window washer on the 80th floor, seeing wind shear and dirt.
They're both seeing the truth of the building, but from completely different and incomplete perspectives.
And both of their interpretations are essential for their survival and their job. This connects directly to his most famous idea, the will to power.
Okay, the will to power.
Nietzsche argued that we call something true because believing it gives us a feeling of power or helps us survive or gives us an advantage over others.
So, in the misinformation age, believing you have secret knowledge that the establishment is hiding, that makes you feel powerful.
It makes you feel enlightened and special. It's a huge psychological boost. And in the digital world, power is measured in traffic and attention. The social media platform isn't trying to find the most verifiable truth. Its will to power is engagement. The algorithm pushes the interpretation that makes you, the user, feel the most validated, the most correct, the most emotional, so you'll click and share.
So the algorithm is literally the modern embodiment of the will to power. It rewards the interpretations that give users a feeling of power and keeps them on the platform.
It's a staggering connection. The algorithm isn't a neutral referee. It's an active player in a Nietzschean power game.
But we have to talk about how this gets twisted, because Nietzsche wanted people to think for themselves, to challenge old ideas.
He did. He wanted intellectual courage. But the post-truth distortion of his idea isn't, I will think for myself. It's, whatever I like is the truth. It's not intellectual rigor. It's self-serving comfort.
Which leads directly to the echo chambers and the polarization we see everywhere.
Exactly. I mean, when two sides of a country can't even agree on basic foundational facts like election results or vaccine efficacy, then the whole basis for a functioning democracy starts to fall apart. We're not debating different interpretations of reality anymore. We're living in different realities.
So Nietzsche gave us the tools to understand why multiple perspectives exist, and we use those tools to build walls between them.
And the truly Nietzschean spirit, the thing he was actually calling for is the courage to do the opposite. It's the courage to say, my interpretation is probably incomplete, and then to actively seek out the perspectives that make you uncomfortable.
That is definitely brain weightlifting,
Yeah.
not something that comes easily.
At all.
Okay, so that brings us to our conclusion. This has been a journey from the eyeball to Nietzsche, and I think you've left us with this really powerful challenge that to be a citizen in this era, you have to do that brain weightlifting. You have to analyze the perspective behind the information.
You have to become an interpreter of the interpretations. That's the work.
So let's bring it back to Mickey one last time. Give him a final, practical Nietzschean tip he can actually use.
Okay, so beyond the alliance strategy, he can use a technique called the revaluation of values.
Revaluation of values. Sounds intense.
It's simple in practice. The next time his mom shares one of those shocking videos, he shouldn't ask, Mom, is this true? He should ask, Mom, what does this video want you to feel? Is it trying to make you healthier, or is it just trying to make you scared?
Ah, so you're shifting the focus from the content of the video to the intent behind it. You're asking her to analyze its will to power.
Exactly. Once you expose the motivation, whether it's to generate clicks or sell a supplement or just stoke fear for engagement, you rob the message of its power and you open up a space for critical thinking to come back in.
That's brilliant. This has been incredibly helpful. We've covered anatomy, corporate power, AI, and German philosophy all in one go.
And I think the final takeaway remains the same. Our communication has to be warm, even when the truth is cold. Always seek alliance over confrontation.
And of course, our standard reminder for everyone listening.
Yeah.
We're here to offer objective facts in different perspectives for you to think about. We're not here to criticize any group or nation. We just want to encourage that critical thinking.
And if we ever mention anything related to finance, remember we are not investment experts. It's all for reference.
A very necessary disclaimer in today's world. Actually, before we go, I have to share one last little story on this topic of rumors. A while back, a listener left a comment saying If you guys just started talking about pro-China topics and praising China, your traffic would explode. The algorithm would love you.
Oh, I remember hearing that rumor that certain international topics were like a guaranteed cheat code for views.
Well, just as a professional experiment, we did it. Not propaganda, obviously, but we just slightly shifted our focus to some of those high-interest topics to see what would happen.
Yeah.
Nothing. Zero difference. Our numbers were exactly the same as always. It was just another rumor.
Just another interpretation that makes the person sharing it feel like they have some secret insider knowledge.
Exactly. It just goes to show you can't even trust the rumors about our own show. You always have to question the perspective.
Always question the interpretation. That's a Nietzschean way.
The perfect note to end on. If you want more conversations that help you navigate this very confusing world, be sure to subscribe to Sip and Talk.
And please do check out our friend Mickey's YouTube channel. It's called Mickey to Life. He does great travel vlogs and memes. It's genuinely fun stuff.
We'll catch you next time.